All right, what's up, everybody? This is Mr. Brashears. Let's get back at it. Starfish Collector, it's coming together. We got a few other things that we're going to do, like end the game and add some pizzazz. So, what we're going to do is we're going to go up here to the UI layout. And I'm going to insert a sprite. And I'm going to call it U-win. Oops. Oh yeah, so you can't have spaces or different symbols. So I drag to open it up, and I'm gonna go here, and I'm going to U-win. That's in your asset folder, and this is on the UI layout, and I'm gonna hit open. And here we go. It's in. I'm just gonna go ahead and put it. And now I want this guy to be right about in the middle. Okay. But one thing that we're gonna do is right here is we don't want it to always be there. We want it to show up when the game is over. So if you look, if I have it selected, either the U-win, and you can see the handles on it here, so it's selected. Over in the project properties, I'm gonna go down here to where it says initial visibility visible. If you click on that, there's a little drop down, and I'm gonna change it to invisible. Okay, so again, went down, visible, visible. Okay, when I run my layout, and I'll pull it over here, you can see now I started my game, and the U-win is nowhere to be found. So now is the key to figure out how do we tell it when to show up when all the starfish come. So that's where I'm going to go back. I'm going to go to my event sheet, and here is where I'm going to add an event. I told you that the system was something that it can keep track of time, of counting, of different things. Kind of if you think of stuff that is bigger than two sprites interacting, lots of times it's under system. So I'm going to click system. And what I'm going to do is I am going to go down to compare two values. Okay, so I'm going to write down here, compare two values. Okay, and here's what I am going to type. So we want to figure out starfish. Okay, and if we type starfish, you can see starfish. Okay, that's what we're referring to right over here, our starfish. And this is how we're going to tell it, dot count with a capital C. Okay, and what's this telling the system is to actually count how many starfish there are, and when it is equal to 0, that'll work, right? Because when the starfish count is 0, then that means the game is over. So we're going to say done. Okay, so here we got starfish. The system starfish count equals 0. That's our action or our event. Ready? So now we're going to add our action. Okay, so here is where we're going to tell it, okay, if you win, we want then that's that sprite that says you win. We want, if we go down to appearance, there's something called set visible. Okay, and we want to set it from visible to, yeah, it's visible. Okay, so now when it's down to 0, you win is going to be set to visible. Let's see how this works for us. Okay, I'm going to see if. Okay, I gotta collect all these. Oh, and there we go. You win, and you notice it's on the UI layer. That's nice. It's above that. Awesome. Okay, so we got a working game. It's got a beginning. It's got an end. But let's add some pizzazz to it. Okay. I want to make it a little bit more challenging. So I'm going to go to the main layer, and I'm going to double click on the main layer, and I'm going to add something called rock. Okay, I'm going to drag rock here, and if you notice, if you remember looking in your sprite folder, your asset folder, there is something called rock. We're going to put some of these in. Okay, and I'm just going to leave it the size it is. I'm going to put one there, and if you remember my trick, hold down the control, and I'm going to drag another one, and another one, and we'll put a few more. Now I've got them there, and I'm actually, now I've let go of control, and I'm going to grab this and I'm just going to drag a little bit. Maybe this one's going to be just a little bit smaller. If I want to keep proportions so it doesn't like stretch wonky, you know, like if you do this, one of these types of things, if you want to keep it proportional, you just hold down Shift as you're dragging. Okay. And so I'm just going to change a few more of these to kind of make it a little bit more challenging. Okay. Now with these rocks, if we just started right now, our turtle could go through any of these rocks. So we're going to click on it, and a behavior that's really useful that we're going to add to these rocks. Oh, and I'm actually going to click on the rock, so it's all the rocks highlighted. Do you see that? So we're going to add solid. Okay. And do you notice if I had just clicked on, okay, I'm going to click. If I just clicked on this one and added the behavior, that solid behavior would only go to this copy. If I want all of them to be solid, which I do, then I select on it and hit solid. You can see initial state of solid is enabled. Okay, so let's see that real quick. Now we're gonna see dragging this guy over. Oh yeah, let's do the turtle. Oh, that's kind of hard. Oh yeah, okay, that's definitely harder. Okay, so we're getting there. But here, I want to add something else. I want the stars to move. Okay, I want them to be able to move. So like they're not just standing still; they're kind of floating around in the water. So I'm going to add a couple things to my stars. Ooh, actually, before I do that, if you double click on the rock, and right down here, this is the collision polygon. If I click on that, see all those red lines? That shows, hey, this is the outline. So if something's gonna smash into it, that's kind of like the outer line. That looks pretty good for that rock. Let's double check our turtle. Oops. Okay, our turtle, and you can see the collision polygon. You can turn it on or off, but it's here, so it's pretty good for the, you know, you could drag stuff around, or you can right click and you can add another dot if you needed to, but it's pretty good. Okay. Sorry about that side comment there, or distraction. Here we go. Starfish. So I want to do this to all the starfish, so I'm going to click on starfish, and you can see all of them are highlighted. Okay. Now I'm going to go to where I'm going to add a couple behaviors to the starfish. The first one I'm going to do is rotate. Okay, so I've got a rotating behavior, and you can see over here, speed 180 and acceleration to 10. I'm going to change the speed to 10. Okay. The other thing is, okay, so those would just make them spin around in circles, staying in the same place. But there's another thing down in movement, a behavior called sine. If you're familiar with trigonometry at all, this is a sine wave. If you haven't heard of that or learned it, don't worry about it. Okay? It is just kind of a wave. If you see the picture, it's going to kind of make things go like this, kind of like a roller coaster motion. So what we're going to do is active on the start, and we're going to change the movement from horizontal. We're going to change that to size, and we're going to keep it as the wave sine. The period is going to be 2. And we're going to change the magnitude, that's how tall it's going to be, to 10. Okay, so all that really means is we're changing different things. And right here, period random, you can start to mess with some of these, or period offset random. I'm going to put a 1 there and see what happens. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close. I'm going to go ahead, before I test it, I'm going to save it. And then I'm going to run this guy, and let's see what we got so far. Okay, as you can see, they're moving around, but they're just kind of glowing, right? So they're not really like moving back and forth, they're just kind of so in some way that kind of like helps it make graphically kind of look fun. But let's say we wanted to, let's click on our starfish again, and let's say we wanted to change it to try something else. we could do like horizontal, and let's see what happens there if we do that, okay? Okay, and now it's going back and forth. So this, if you wanted it to kind of move back and forth, so you can change that, and now they're kind of going back and forth. Adds just a little bit of interest and variation to the game. Okay, so here's the other thing I want to do, just to add a little polish. Instead of when I go up here and just when I hit a starfish and it just automatically disappears, I want to make it fade. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Starfish, so I get all of them, and I'm going to add a behavior, and I'm going to go to the fade behavior. And again, if you're ever unsure where to find it, just start typing in, if you know you need a fade behavior, there you go, add fade. Okay? So, down here we're going to find the properties for fade. Active at the start. We don't want that to start at the beginning, so we're going to say no. And the fade in time and the wait time. Let's see. Let's go to change the fade out time to 0.2. And let's see. And what that's going to do is, okay, so what that's going to do is that's going to fade it out. Opacity, that is like how, if something has 0 opacity, you can't see it. If it's 100% opacity, it's like a solid, you can't see through it. If it was 50% opacity, it'd kind of be like a window, you could kind of see through it. So we're telling this right here that to not start at the beginning, but in 0.2, it's going to go from 100% opacity to 0 opacity and then destroy after fade out. Okay, so we got the fade there. Now we're going to go into our event sheet and we're going to adjust this. So instead of this saying destroy, if I just click on this part right here, it is, and you see now that I've added fade, I get this right in here. Okay, so we're going to fade, start fade. Okay, there we go. I'm going to save this. And I'm going to hit run. And now you can start to see. Here we go. If I... Okay, so it's a little bit more polished. And you may like that, you may not. But that's just another way so it doesn't instantaneously happen. And here I win. Okay, so that is the end of the game. I want you to watch the next video to see what's going to happen next.